Hello, everybody. This is me, Zach, and we're going to be doing our 49ers talk. We're going to be doing our Purely Sports Talk with CJ, talking NFL stories on Wednesday around 6 p.m. or so. So make sure to catch us at that time on Wednesday. But for today, we're going to be talking 49ers. Sadly, last night, Sunday Night Football loss to the Eagles, 25 to 20. The Eagles win last minute after C.J. Beathard throws deep to George Kittle in the end zone, and it gets broken up by Eagles defenders. So, it's a big loss for the Niners. We really needed this because this could have got us back on track, and we could have, well, not exactly back on track. It would have kept us on the track of trying to stall for Jimmy Garoppolo, basically. And you know, and people were starting to think Nick Mullins could have been our starting quarterback, and there was quarterback controversy. But as you can see from this week, that seems to be squashed now, and it seems like everybody's begging for Jimmy to come back. So um, tables are turning, and I think we always should have been looking to Jimmy because there were some throws that Nick Mullins made that were just not throws that Jimmy would have made. I think Jimmy is better in the clutch, and I think Jimmy is he throws a lot of interceptions, but he throws them at the right time. I think sadly, still throws interceptions, but he usually makes up for it. I think Jimmy would have won that game, but let's go ahead and let's start with the good for this week. We need some good. We need to talk about some good as Niner fans. Um, Brandon Ayuk, he looked great. He had that crazy hurdle over the Eagles defender. He ended up with 38 rushing yards and one touchdown rushing and 18 yards receiving. The only thing I have to say about Brandon Ayuk is we need to see more receiving out of him. And I think when Jimmy Garoppolo gets back, I think we're going to see that a little bit more because you know, even Jimmy Garoppolo said in the offseason, Brandon Ayuk feels like my security blanket. And I feel that Nick Mullins is not, that's not, Brandon Ayuk isn't that to him. He's just another receiver that he looks to. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo and Brandon Ayuk will hook up more. I think Deebo Samuel will get more looks after only rushing, I think it was he ended up having around like 30 or something rushing yards on a sweep or 10 yards. It wasn't that much. We need to see more out of Deebo. It was his return, but it is his second year, and he had a good year last year, so we want to see that again. Um, but yeah, Brandon Ayuk played great. But the best performance by far, hands down, was by George Kittle. He played great. It was to be expected. You kind of think maybe he'd slow down with injuries, but nope. George Kittle's right back at it, and he ended up with 8 rushing yards. There's no point of adding that, but 183 receiving yards and a touchdown. He also ended up with a 92.4 PFF overall grade, which is awesome. That's usually what he ends up with. But yeah, George Kittle definitely on the good list. He played amazing, and he will most likely continue to play amazing unless he gets hurt. That's the only thing that seems to be stopping us in the Niners this year. We need to stay healthy, and that is, if we can do that, we'll be in the playoffs, and we'll see from there. But we need our people back for sure. Another person that I put on the good list was Jerick McKinnon. He carried the load on the running game. I think the Niners should have ran it a little bit more, but not with McKinnon because he also is coming off of an injury, a rib injury. He did end up with 54 rushing yards and a touchdown rushing as well, and he ended up with 43 receiving yards. He was leading. Well, he helped punch that touchdown late in the game when C.J. Beathard it seems like a joke, but CJ Beathard was leading us down the field, and you know, Jerick McKinnon, he played good for coming off a week of injury, and I think that he will continue to improve, and especially when we get more of our running backs back, and because then he'll get more rest, and you'll see a lot of mismatches and things that Kyle Shanahan will draw up. But Jerick McKinnon, great game. He only had like 16 carries or so, and he still ended up with almost 100 yards all purpose, and he ended up with a touchdown as well. So it's very impressive for Jerick McKinnon. Also, another thing, this one could have also not been on my list, but Quan Alexander was on my list for the good, and I put him on here because look, he still was missing tackles like good old Quan Alexander, but he also did end up leading the game, the 49ers team with total tackles. He had 9 total tackles, and he had 6 solo tackles, which is it's probably one of his best games so far this year. There's only 4 games, but I did want to give him his props because I usually hate on him. I'm not a big fan of Quan Alexander. I think our defense will be so much better when we get people like Dre Greenlaw back, when we get Richard Sherman back. But I think when Greenlaw gets back and he adds to that linebacker group, watch out, because you have an improved Fred Warner. You have Quan Alexander, which is like an average guy. We thought he would be better, but then you have an up-and-coming Dre Greenlaw. So Dre Greenlaw looks really good. So just watch out for him when he comes back. Our defense will improve that much with a guy like him, even with people like Nick Bosa being out. Armstead, also, he had a career high of 8 quarterback pressures last game. He also had half a sack, so I just wanted to give him his props real quick. Good job, Eric. And, Eric Armstead did play good. He needs to improve. He needs to earn his money, though. He played good, not enough. I think DeForest Buckner is still playing way, way better than Eric Armstead, and I think we should have kept DeForest Buckner. I do think we could have. I think Eric Armstead's a little bit younger than DeForest, and we also probably could have got him for a little bit cheaper, but at this point, I think we chose the wrong guy. I think it would have been better to choose Buckner over Armstead, but Armstead's still playing good, but he needs to keep improving. He needs to be better than just 8 quarterback pressures. That might be his career high, but people like Nick Chubb already had 10 last week or this week. And so he needs to improve. He needs to lead this defense. With people like Nick Bosa gone, he should be having 6 sacks already. The dude had 10 sacks with Nick Bosa on the line. He had 10 sacks with DeForest Buckner on the defensive line. He had it with DJ Jones. He had it with D Ford, with Solomon Thomas, with a loaded D-line. I don't understand how he's not on pace to get 12, 13 sacks with Nick Bosa and DeForest Buckner gone. He needs to lead this defense. He did do good, but he needs to improve. But on that note, you can already see I'm getting worked up. But let's go to the bad. I want to start by saying Kyle Shanahan. His play calling was not very good. Against a team like the Eagles, he should have exploited them to the limit. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm not a fan of Kyle Shanahan and the way it seems like he punishes his team when they don't do what he wants, or if they don't execute a play to his perfection that he wants it to be. Because for some reason, Kyle Shanahan decides to run it every single time on 3rd and 15, on 3rd and 13. Why doesn't he go for those big plays? Why doesn't he try to make up for something like that? That's what I don't get with him. That's my biggest pet peeve about him. But I did want to say that when he was finding success in plays, he never went back to them at all. But he would keep forcing runs to the left and right. There was an occurrence where Jerick McKinnon ran the same play, just going in opposite directions 3 times in a row, and each time it was like 1-2 yards maybe, and I think one of them was negative yards. It doesn't make sense to me. If you are having success on jet sweeps, um, screens, on passes down the middle to Kendrick Bourne or whatever it is, why aren't you going back to that kind of stuff? It doesn't make sense. So I think Kyle Shanahan should have been way better on his play calling, but it doesn't just fall on Kyle Shanahan. It also falls on Nick Mullens, who ended up 18 for 26, 200 passing yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Both those interceptions, both of them were in either the end zone or in a time where we really needed a drive to come together. One of the interceptions was in the red zone, and we could have scored but we'll get to why that happened in a little bit. But that he ended up throwing a pick instead of maybe throwing it away. He threw it into someone that was covered completely, unless he was trying to get it to the guy that was behind Trent Taylor. But Trent Taylor was covered completely, and he still decided to throw it. It didn't make any sense, and I think Nick Mullens, it's a done deal. He'll be our guy that can come in and beat the Giants if we needed him for a week. He'll be the guy that if Jimmy Garoppolo ends up with an ankle injury or throws out his arm for a week and he just needs a week off, Nick Mullens will be that guy to help us out, but he's not going to be anything more than that. And so, he's proven that he won't. Because people keep bringing up, Nick Mullens last year's team, we would have still made the Super Bowl because Jimmy Garoppolo just stood there. No, he didn't. He threw for 4 touchdowns in the Saints game and both the Cardinal games, and he also threw for many touchdowns other than that. He wasn't getting completely carried. Yes, there were games where mainly in the playoffs where he wasn't active very much. We didn't really need him, and if we did need him, he probably would have shown up and played well. I think the only game where he didn't show up was the Super Bowl, sadly, the one where it really mattered. But if we needed Nick Mullens in those playoffs, or if we needed Nick Mullens to play and get 4 touchdowns against the Saints in the Superdome, it wouldn't have happened. Nick Mullens doesn't have that in him. Jimmy does. He can make big plays sometimes. You never really know with the guy. I mean, he's going to throw picks. He's going to look silly out there sometimes, but he's going to win you the games. I don't think that Jimmy Garoppolo would have lost that game. I really don't. And I think it's done with talking about – I think we're done with this Nick Mullens thing. I think it's over. I think people need to stop with it. And I swear if I hear a Niner fan say, put in CJ Beathard, I'm going to pull the little pieces of hair that I have left out of my head. It's going to be bad. Don't say that Beathard can do it. Beathard, the only reason why he played decent coming in for Nick Mullens was because the defense didn't know what to expect with the guy. You game plan for CJ Beathard, he's going to take 10 sacks. And the defense that plays against us is going to look like the greatest defense ever. But I'm sorry for my rant, but I mean, geez. But the reason why Nick Mullens also took 4 sacks last night gotta be he's degrading with every year that goes on. Every year he seems like he gets worse. Mike McGlinchey, I mean, the dude's a beast on run blocking. But oh my gosh, he gave up, I think, 3 sacks last night. 2 back-to-back on pass blocking. It's ridiculous. He gives up so many pass blocking sacks. It's ridiculous. He gets thrown on his back, thrown to the side like he's a rag doll. Why are you in the NFL if you cannot pass block? We need to do something about that. If we can't handle our right side, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't even remember. Do we even have Justin Skule anymore? Or who was it? Our rookie last year. I mean, we had some rookie, but I mean, he plays like really bad. Mike McGlinchey, that position needs to be addressed immediately. Immediately. He's terrible. I mean, I think that Mike McGlinchey either needs to be benched or he needs to turn up the notch because he has played terrible. And if that continues, it's not going to be much different for Jimmy. He's going to play a little bit better, but it's going to be hard for him with, you know, 5 guys coming at his head because they're all targeting Mike McGlinchey or something. I mean, come on. Come on, Glinch. You were supposed to be like the next Staley. Where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you? I don't see you. I see you getting burnt every play. It's terrible. And that does it for me with the bad. That was just the extremely bad. There wasn't. I mean, there was bad all over on the defense. I think we gave a lot of dumb plays up. I mean, the Carson Wentz run was just embarrassing. In their first touchdown was just embarrassing. And I don't know what it is about Nick Mullins, but it takes him a whole halftime to get going for some reason. I mean, and he didn't even really get going ever. I mean, the dude, it took him a whole halftime to get going last week against the Giants. And I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, we need you. We need you. We're calling for you. At least I'm calling for you. I don't know about the other Niner fans that quit on you and said Mullins was the guy. Look, I've quit on you before, Jimmy, but I know that you're legit. And I think every Niner fan regrets ever, and maybe that was Kyle Shanahan's just sick ploy of saying, yeah, Nick Mullins, he's not our guy. It's Jimmy. I don't know. I don't know what it was. It could have been that. I don't know. But Nick Mullins, Mike McGlinchey are my least favorite people this week. Kyle Shanahan, I just threw it on there because he's the head coach. He made a couple dumb play calls, but he always does. I think we need to draft a quarterback in this year's draft. I'm not kidding. But let's go into it's a short list of 49er news, which is nice because that means we don't have too many injuries this week. We have the old injuries, which is, you never know. But first question I have for myself, I guess, is this season over? In my opinion, no, it's not over. It's not. Season's not over, but if we don't beat the Dolphins, it's not going to be a 5-10, 6-10 season or whatever the heck, however that works. 5-11. It's going to be a 7-9, 8-8 season, and it's going to be rough. It's going to look like the Rams if we don't win this game. If we do win this game, we could look at a 10-6, 9-7. But we need to win this game. We need to win the Rams game, and we need to beat the Seahawks 1 out of 2. Because if we don't beat the Seahawks, that's going to demoralize our entire team. Because that's a huge, huge game for our team every year. Because that is such a big rival right now, and we need to make moves with them. I don't think this season's over yet. Not yet. Don't lose your hope, Niner fans. Don't lose it yet. It's not over yet. We need to see Jimmy back. He looked better towards the end of that Jets game when he almost left, and so we need to have trust in Jimmy. We need to heal. That's the word of week 5. Heal. Heal. That should be our motto. We need to heal. We might be getting Mostert back this week. We might be getting Sherman back this week. We might be getting Jimmy Garoppolo back this week. We will see. And there's a couple other guys we'll see about. But it seems like Jimmy Garoppolo, they're trying to indicate a week after this week, which is a little scary. I want Jimmy Garoppolo back this week. But we'll see. Next news is Ezekiel Ansah most likely tears his biceps, which is pretty much, it's not a season-ending injury because Quan Alexander ended up coming back. uh, last year, but that was like a freak of nature. He could end up coming back later in the season. We'll see. But he was a free agent pickup. He's not. I mean, we can go pick up someone completely different. It's not that big of a blow. It seems like that was our main injury, unless it was a couple bumps and bruises here and there. But that was the biggest name that came to mind. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Other than players coming back, we'll see next week. We need this win. We need to get to 3-2. We need to get to 4-2. We need to get to 6-2. We need to win these next 4 games, totally, because we need to get back on track. We need to give ourselves some breathing room, because right now we're backed up against a wall and we are choking. Because I mean, call it whatever. It's not looking good for the Niners, not at all. So we need to fix this. Let me know. Leave some comments down below if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure to check us on Twitter at purely_sports with a Z on Twitter. Purely Space Sports on YouTube. And make sure to follow us on Periscope if you're watching live right now, or if you're watching a replay. But just make sure to check us out. I will be talking to you guys soon, and we will be having, like I said, on Wednesday at around 6 o'clock, we'll be talking NFL news. I mean, I got a full notebook of this. I mean, the first half of. I got a lot of stuff written down. There's a lot of good stuff for this week. Let me know if you guys have questions that we will ask in the video or our next stream. Let me know, guys. And but yeah, make sure to follow us, and I will talk to you guys later.